Welcome to Instant Impact Events. I'm CJ.
And I'm Cheryl. Hi guys, welcome to another episode. We're so happy that you guys are here to learn more about all things events, event planning,
Everything.
audiovisual, event production, all that jazz. So
All that jazz.
today's
That's a song, by the way.
oh yeah. Isn't it Broadway? Oh.
Yeah.
That jazz.
You don't want me to get my hat on.
Okay. Okie dokes. Back to the topic. We're talking today about how your event is an experience. And this is something that we always talk about. That's why we, instant impact is because we always say, it only takes an instant to make an impact, right? And that really is true. And that's why having the right event experience creates that impact, right?
Yes.
It's something that creates that lasting memory. It creates something that people want to come back to, they want to talk about, they want to continue on with. So that is something that is integral to any type of event that you're having, whether it's a corporate event or it's a small family gathering.
From the moment you walk through the door.
Right. So large, small, or anything in between, it's all about the experience that you're going to create. And the way that you create that experience is asking yourself, what are you wanting people to get out of your event, right?
What is that feeling
right.
you want them to have?
Yep. What are you wanting them to feel? And this is not just during the event, it's before the event, during the event, and after the event. What are you wanting them to feel? What are you wanting them to remember? What are you wanting them to tell other people? Because that's the big takeaway, right?
Full experience.
If you can think about that from the get-go, from the front end of, okay, we're having this event. We're not just having an event to have an event. We're having an event to create an experience. So what is that experience that we're wanting to create? Because then when you start looking at it that way, you start saying, okay, well, is this in line with the experience? Is this going to create that experience? Is it going to add to it? Is it going to deter from it? Is it going to enhance this or not? And when you always have that level up here of, okay, this is the experience that we're creating, how is this going about helping that?
Correct.
That's where that experience comes from.
It's also going to start from the beginning.
Yep.
It's going to start before the event. The experience starts from the beginning.
Yeah. And what we mean by the beginning is, when people are, normally you got to have someone register for your event, right? So they're getting some sort of marketing or you're contacting them in a certain way, right? How from that moment all the way through when they leave the event and whatever you send them at the end as a thank you or
starts with the copy.
It's all from the beginning, but it's the look, the feel, the lingo,
everything,
the vibe. It's all the experience, and so that's what you want to start thinking of.
Or did they even get an email?
Well, that's true too, right? And that comes from your experience. Are they finding you online somehow? Is this a relationship rapport that you already have with them? Is this something that this is the first time they've ever dealt with you before?
Right.
Is this a new relationship? Is this a long time relationship? Where are they coming from? And then what experience, what picture are you wanting to paint for them to have? Now, that doesn't mean everyone's going to have that exact experience, and yet most people will when you're consciously thinking about what you want the outcome to be.
Yes.
Right? Versus, hey, we're having this event, this is what we're doing, this is how it is, this is what it's okay, versus we're having an event and this is the experience we want people to, this is what the takeaways, this is what we want them talking and feeling 5, 10, 15 years from now, right?
What do they remember from that event?
I mean, we have events that we went to 15 plus years ago, and it's like, okay, I still remember what I felt at that event, right? Or the experience or the takeaways or the relationships or whatever you're wanting them to get out of it, whatever you're wanting that ultimate experience to look and feel like. Because when people can experience your event not just visually but emotionally, like they can internalize that they can, then that's something they're really going to hold on to, and it's going to carry through with them. It might even
come back.
Yeah. Because normally
that's what you want.
You don't want just a one and done. You want people to continue a relationship with you, and so by creating the experience that you want ahead of time helps cultivate that relationship even more.
Yeah. What are you going to tell your friends?
Yep.
What are you going to tell your family members?
Yep.
Are you going to bring people with you?
What do you want them to post on social media, right? What do you want them to say about your event? What do you want other people to see, right? Because people who come to your event are a walking, talking billboard for your event, right? For sure. So what do you want them talking about? What do you, what message do you want them spreading?
Yep.
What to other people, because that's how other people are going to come to your event next time, right? Or get to know you more, or want to continue a relationship, or
How
start a new
friendly you
relationship.
were, the smiles,
And
the caring.
And what they got out of it, right?
Yes.
What was the
takeaway?
That they weren't just a number either, right? Some people
Yes,
are like,
what was
oh,
the
it's kind of like a herd. You herd them in, you herd them out, and okay, next
We
event,
don't like that.
check, right?
We don't like
it's
that.
It's like, no,
No.
every event is an opportunity to create an experience.
Yes, and build a relationship.
Yep, to build a relationship, to cultivate, to continue to grow. And so that's what you want to have in the forefront of your mind when you're having an event. Not just like, here's the list of events that we're having. And if you're planning events for other people, you want to help them with that too, because they don't know these things, right? So it's like, okay, when we're having an event, we're creating an experience. So what experience are you wanting to create?
You're going to have a checklist.
What are you wanting to get out of this? What are you wanting the takeaways to be?
The look and feel.
Yes, all and so if your job is event planning, right? If that's what you're wanting to do and that's the profession that you're in, then it's your job to take this information that you're learning here
Yes.
back into your business, back into your career, and say, okay, well, this is another tool in my tool belt, and this is what we start with now. It's like, okay, we begin with the end in mind of, okay, this is what we're wanting. This is what we're wanting them to feel and evoke and sense and all those kind of things. And we're going to talk about in just a minute all the different ways that you can carry that through, from big things to very little things, right? But it's the little things that really make the big difference, right? Because it all adds up. All the little details, all the little things that you're doing along the way create the overall experience. It's not just one thing that you're doing.
No. And that starts with registration.
Right.
What's the experience going to be?
And we're talking about not just at the event registration, like when they show up the day before or the morning of, but
initial,
signing up for the event. What is that experience like? Are they starting to feel like, oh, that was a good experience, or okay, that left a lot to be desired, right?
Yeah, I hope it gets better.
What you want out of the gate, it to be a good experience, because that's setting the tone for the rest of what's going to be coming.
Staying in contact with
them. There's so many events
they're at the right hotel to make sure they're even coming.
Well, there's so many events people sign up and you don't hear anything
Just
from
silence.
anyone.
Crickets. You don't want crickets.
It's like, okay, well, is that event still happening? Is that still going on? I registered for that, but I haven't really gotten any follow-up on that.
Yeah.
You want to have a sequence depending on, some events people sign up a year in advance, right? So if that's the case and that's your type of event versus, hey, they're signing up 2 months before, that's different, right?
Yeah,
but you don't
gotta
want
have
them
a year ahead of time.
You don't want radio silence.
No, at least
and
10 times.
Nothing for that, all those months in between. You want to continue to cultivate that relationship. You want to build that connection.
See if they have any
want
questions.
Them to be working on that know, like, and trust factor along with you, creating that experience, because not just what they get when they show up. It's the process before, during, and after, and you cultivate that relationship from the moment they sign up all the way to when they leave, and you send your final email or message to
That
them.
welcome email sequence is very important.
Yep. And it's not just the welcome, it's the welcome and the continued relationship. Because a lot of times the big hindrance was like, well, I didn't know what to expect, or I didn't feel prepared, or I didn't know where I was going, or I didn't feel like they knew what I needed, or
cared.
Or any myriad of things. So when you're working on that, think about, okay, you're the one putting on the event, so you know all these details, you know all these things, but what do they not know, right? Put yourself in their shoes and say, okay, well, they just signed up for this event, now what, right? What would I like to receive? Would I like to receive what should I do between now and then?
Some tips or tricks, some hints.
Or could we be working on something so that when they come to the event, they've already gotten something?
Yes.
Or is it, an expo, and so you want them to know some of the vendors, like when you start adding more, ooh, we've got this one, make sure you visit them here.
You can do a video sequence of different people from all the vendors.
So there's so many things that you can do, and even if you're like a wedding planner, there's a lot that you can do to plan to have people participate, right, along the way, so they're not just feeling like they're just showing up, here's a gift, congratulations.
That's all they care about is that date on the calendar.
And off they go, right? It's like you could be building things along the way and intertwining to make that even a more memorable experience for everyone.
They'll look forward to it even more.
And people have more time to prepare too, versus being on the spot right there at the event. It's like, oh, well, I wish I would have had a little time to prepare for something like this. I could have done a little more of this or that. So give people what you want, knowing that they don't
Right.
know what's to be expected or what's coming or what's there. You can build that relationship, and that just creates an overall better experience
A fun experience.
overall.
Yeah. And how about when they arrive? That's the big ta-da. When they come, what are they going to expect? What are they going to see? Are there going to be people guiding them to the stairwell or the escalators? Or are there signs around?
Right. When they show up to the venue, are they getting lost, or do they know where to go, right? Is it a venue that's easy to find the places they need to go, or is it like a maze?
Right.
Because
Is
some
it
places
large?
there's tons of things going on. And so what is the experience when they step foot now at the event? What is the look? What is the feel? What is the interaction going on with the staff or people that are at the event? Or
Are they helping?
Do people
Are
know
they
how?
guiding?
Are they able to answer questions? Are they helpful? Do they have a smile on their face?
Are they dressed
Right.
nice?
So that all carries through with that. And if certain people have had built rapport with certain people on the team, then they're going to want to.
They're going to be looking for that
Yeah, they want to
person.
see that person. They want to, talk to that person or introduce themselves. Hey, we've communicated through phone or email
Yes.
or text or whatever they've done. Oh, it's so great to put a face with a name, right? Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome. And so then they've already got that connection built. So from
Yes.
registration in the beginning of signing up to now you're at the event, you're actually there.
Yes.
What is that going to look like? What is that going to feel like? How is that going to be?
Right.
So that creates and continues that experience.
Right. Where's the registration tables? So are they going to line up? Is there VIP?
Yep.
Are you going to come over here or are you going over there?
Yep. Are they getting some sort of welcome gift, right? When they arrive, when they check in and they register
Right.
and they say they're there, are they getting something? If so, you need to make sure you have those things
Each-
ready to go.
each person
Is it
gets
only
it.
VIP that's getting something? Then that's good to know too.
Right.
Are there other things people have signed up for that they need to make sure that they get, but not everybody's getting?
Right.
You've got to know this and you've got to have it systematized in a way that it creates, because the worst thing can happen is people show up and then it's a
they're all
bottleneck.
together at once and
Right.
just stuck.
And no one's directing traffic. No one's telling them, you go over here, or you go over there. So then they stand in this line forever to get there to say, oh, you're supposed to be over here. Well, that's not a
nobody
good
wants to hear
experience,
that.
right?
No,
No.
you're not at
So-
the airport.
And when you're out there, that's not a good experience, right?
No.
So you always want to be thinking,
How to
how
make it
is
better.
this adding to the experience, right? Is
Yes.
it adding or taking away? If it's taking away, we need to figure out how to make this
Make it easier.
a positive. How do we
Yes.
make this something that's helping
And
the
rehearsed.
overall experience?
And rehearsed
Oh,
already,
yeah.
at least the day before. Of number one, you're going to have an idea, but then you're going to rehearse.
Yep.
You're going to rehearse what's line is going to go where, who's going where, this person gets this.
Well, and what position or what role is everyone playing? If you're over here manning registration
important.
and someone else is over
Their
here,
jobs.
With the traffic flow, or is someone standing over here to direct them to over here to then get them to go this way?
Right.
Or
why are you even there?
is your job
You have to guide.
mingle and just talk and kind of talk it up? Make people, is your job over here with VIPs? Like, everyone needs to have a position and a
Certain
role,
position, yes.
and sometimes they need to be a little interchangeable because stuff happens, right? Stuff comes up, maybe someone's not feeling well, or
Yep. Next person up.
So everyone needs to kind of know how to flow. Like if something happens over here, then so and so is going to move into this
Right.
position, right? So again, because you've thought of these things ahead of time, they don't come as a surprise or a shock, and it's still adding to the overall experience because you have set up your event from before you even started, from conception to now fruition of, okay, this is the experience that we're creating as a whole. And then when you get your team on board, you let them know, this is the experience that we're creating. This is the ultimate, what we're looking to put
Right.
together here. And everyone plays a role in that.
Yes, even the branding is everything the same color as soon as you walk
Yep.
in. There's a logo everywhere. Does the signs have the logo?
Yep.
Is a speaker there pointing? You know,
Or
that
are
way.
people branded
Yes.
in
Do they
dress
have
a certain
nice
way?
name tag?
So they stand out, right? So they know,
Yes.
oh, this is someone with the event. I can talk to them, or I can ask them, or
Correct.
they can help me, right? Or are you in your welcome gifts that you're giving? Is that
Yes.
on brand? Is
The
that on?
tablecloth's the same.
Is that for the experience, right? The music that you have playing, or
Right.
the food
is
that you
there
have
music
out.
playing outside, not instead of inside?
Yep. Because again, some people are going to show up early, and so if it's just like
Some
elevator
people
music.
Are sitting with their coffee and
Yeah.
just wanting to relax. Is there even space for them to relax after registration?
Speaking of coffee, I'm going to need something.
I'll make you some.
Thanks.
I have to make her coffee.
He makes the best. I'm not a big coffee drinker,
Yes. So I soak the
and
grounds.
he makes the best cold brew
Cold brew.
with a little bit of cold foam.
Yeah. Froth. Yeah.
Like a froth with
Yes.
some stevia.
Stevia
Oh, it's
and
got
the
to be
froth.
English coffee,
Stevia
though.
and the froth
Oh,
and
it's
stevia
so good.
and the coffee.
So I got to finish my tea,
and then
and
it's
then I
coffee
get my
time.
coffee.
Yes,
But,
for her.
Yeah, but if I go somewhere else, coffee. Ugh.
Yeah, we had Starbucks dates in the morning.
Sometimes. But then I'm like,
Sometimes,
you know what? The coffee at home's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
Back
want
to
them-
the overall experience.
You want
The
them to
coffee
have
got me
enough
on.
room for
Yeah.
the people who just registered. Are they just standing there in a corner?
It's not.
Is there enough room?
It's not a good look,
them to
right?
sit.
And so remember,
Have
and-
a time of when the doors are going to open.
Yeah,
because
people are going to
gonna
ask.
line up.
They're going to
line up.
When are the doors going to open? Can we get in? Can I put my bag down? Can I do this? Can I do that?
No.
It's like, no. But again, you can tell them, we open the doors 5 minutes before start time, right?
Or 15.
Or 50. It depends on how many people you've got going, right?
Yeah.
If it's a smaller
Usually
event,
it's 15.
5 is good. If it's a bigger event, people need more time to kind of shuffle in and find, then 15. But again, whenever you open the doors, it is an experience, right?
You
And
want people greeting.
And you can even ask people, like, well, how can we get up? Because we want to create the best experience possible.
For you.
And the way that we do that is that we make sure that we open the doors all at once, so we're able to welcome you and people understand. Okay, great.
Yes.
Again, no, if people don't know to say that, then it's like, well, I don't know why. There's a reason, right?
There's a reason.
There's a reason. You want the energy. You want the flow. You want that wow
doors.
factor and that experience to
Whoa.
happen. And that happens by everyone lining up and the door. And then it's like a whole, like on a football game, everyone's there and the players have been out on the field practicing and even baseball
Yeah.
and stuff. But
But
then
they have to go back out.
they all go back in the tunnel, right, or in the dugout, and
Yeah.
then they announce them, right? It's like a big
It's
thing, and
like
they all
a-
come running out, and it's like, ah, again,
That's what we need. I need to bust through a sign.
experience, right? They've already been there. You already know. Okay, there's some tables, but it's about the energy. It's about the experience. It's
And the
about
look and feel
the look and
of
feel.
everything.
And so then that comes down to, once the doors open, how is your room set up? What does the stage look like? What do your booths look like? What do the tables look like? What is the
They're
energy
not still going
on?
through the PowerPoints and stuff when
Or
the
the
doors
screens
open.
aren't ready to go, or music's not happening, or
Right.
There's someone bickering over in the corner, or
Yeah,
like,
it has to be
all-
announced first.
Yeah, like, hey,
before
doors are
the
opening in
doors are
60
open.
seconds. Let's go.
They don't tell me a lot because I'm the one playing the music
Yeah.
and getting it ready. We're ready. Just let me know so I
Right.
can at least turn it up.
And then you want everyone welcoming and high-fiving and, welcome, we're so glad you're smiling faces and, the energy of you want good music going.
Smiles.
And then you got more than smiles. You got to actually but you want all of that going on because that's
Yes.
adding to the experience,
Just
right?
like the music experience.
Yep.
You
So
want
it all
something-
plays a
You
role.
want something uplifting and the right tone, not too loud when they come through the doors.
And you kind of want to think of your event as like a roller coaster, right? You don't want it just all flat. You don't want to be on the kiddie ride where we're just going around chugging along on the track, right? We want the highs and then a little bit of lows. And then we want the round. Like, it's an experience. And so when they're registering, we're chugging up, right? And then when the doors open, it's like and then we're going down.
Right.
And then everyone gets settled in. And then you kind of do
then
like
they
your
start
housekeeping or your,
Right.
it's a ride, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to flatline, just have it the same old same, right?
No.
It's about the experience. And so how are you creating the highs and then let it come back down and then another high and let it come back down? Now you're not wanting them to like completely fall flat unless
No.
that's part of your story that you're
No.
doing at certain
You don't
times.
crash in the beginning.
But you want to be building up and building up, and then you kind of settle in, and then you
Right.
kind of go around a bend, and think of it as that type of a thing.
experience.
You're creating an experience, not all one level either. There's
No.
sometimes you want the energy really high. There's
And
other
then
times
low.
you want a little more low.
Are
Sometimes
they
you
filling
want
out
it in
paperwork?
between.
Are they filling out paperwork? The music's going to be low. You're
Right.
going to fill out your forms.
So that's all part of your experience. Now, if you're putting on like an expo or a trade show or something, you want that too, right? You don't want just the whole people just wandering around all the time looking at. No, you want to have everyone come over here at this time. We're gonna get the energy up, right? And then you can go back over here, or hey, come over here. We're gonna do some giveaways right now, right? Or there's all those kinds of things where you're wanting to take them on a ride, right?
Yep.
And you don't want to just have it be the same old same. You want the energy up, but sometimes you want it down because you don't want to always be at a level 10, right?
No.
That's too much. And that's not a good experience either when people are like, oh my gosh, it's
too much. I need to go.
Right? And so when you get into that rhythm, right, and that's what it is. It's a rhythm, just like a song. Sometimes you have high moments, you have low. You're flowing, and that's the whole point of an event, is you're creating an experience through flow.
Yep.
Right? And your flow, you don't want to just have a flat flow. Sometimes you want ups and downs, and you're taking them on an experience and a journey together. So you've got to think about that while you're going through doors opening, how the flow of your event's going to go.
Aromas.
And then that's the other thing is we're not just going on sight and sound. You want all the senses. So you want that smell. Like what aromas are you going to have going? What other senses are you wanting to evoke? Right?
Much.
And not something that's so overbearing.
Type smell
That would turn people off either, right?
No, it has
something
to be soft.
that's very soft. In the background, you can kind of slightly smell it. It doesn't smell
barely
like
notice.
It doesn't smell like old
Mothballs.
but also it doesn't smell like a room that just has stagnant air, right? You can okay, the energy is good in here because I smell this while I'm seeing this, while I'm hearing this.
Right.
It's like, okay, that all plays a role.
Right.
But make sure it's not too much because then it can go the opposite direction, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of people who are allergic to certain things, and so you want to keep it like some essential oils. That's great in one of the diffusers, a few of them around. Some candles a lot of times are a hazard.
Yeah.
Because
They'll
that's
get
not
knocked
good.
over. No.
So let's not do that. But just slight little things that aren't so toxic. You know what I mean? Like it's more natural. It just makes it easier. For everyone to be able to smell it, but it's not so overbearing that it's a turnoff.
Yeah, and you don't want to be blinded by the lights also. You know, and you want to make sure you have up lights on stage.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that everything isn't on full. We always, at our events, make sure we turn them down a little bit.
And it's about the
just a little.
ambiance, right?
Right.
So maybe at certain times it's like really bright, and at other times you bring it down a little bit. If you have a full day event, you can kind of play with the lights. You can have different colors during different times. If you're doing like an evening event,
evening for sure.
You could do different music. You could have, different colors, different ways. You could have them flash, like if they're flashing, that's a certain kind of thing, versus if they're just kind of fading. So again, what experience are you wanting to create? What time is your event happening? How many days is it happening over? Is it just a couple hours? Is it, multiple days? You got to think about that. And what is the full experience that you're wanting to create during that? And lights and music and sights and smells and all those things play a role in that overall experience.
Right, including staff.
Yeah.
Your staff, you want them trained. You don't want them just standing there.
Nope.
On their phones.
Nope.
Or just sitting, eating at the back table.
No.
No. That happens all the time.
The food thing. If you're having a multi-day event,
people are going to eat during the event.
People are going to eat. The challenge is they need to eat outside of the room, right? Because you don't want that smell coming in the room, and it just stays there. You don't want
staff in the back of the room.
And it just looks messy,
eating,
and it looks dirty.
And they come to the back table for questions, and you got a mess back there.
Right. So you don't want that.
No.
So if someone wasn't able to eat during the designated, then you need to have someone who's able to, be in the room. And let other people go eat, right? Whether it's outside, not out front of the room.
Because usually you don't get a break during lunch.
Yeah, normally you're doing something.
Get somebody to grab some food for you.
Yeah. So those are all things to think about when you're thinking about the experience. Like you don't want food smells coming in into the room, or because then they just stay, right? Yes. Or a mess in the back. It's all about the aesthetic. It's about how are things looking, and your staff plays a role in that. That's why also phones need to be put away. They shouldn't be out.
Turned off.
Unless someone has you have one designated person because that's how you're going to communicate, or you need to. That's one thing, but that all needs to be put away. It's about you're here now. You're focused on what the agenda is. You're focused on the experience. And if you're sucked in on your phone, you're not paying attention. People could be standing there and you don't know what's going on in the room. You're zoned out. And then it's like, oh, what happened? Oh, I don't even know, right? So everyone needs to be on board. Also, people need to be getting good nutrition, staying hydrated, getting a good amount of rest, because if they're hungover, tired, or a myriad of other things, they're not going to be giving what they need to give. Yeah.
Yes.
And so there should be some policies that there's no drinking that goes on during the event. Now, at the end of the event, if someone wants to go drink, like at the end of the, not the night, that's fine. But for these few days that we're at this event, we need everyone 100%
unless there's
focused.
a dinner with everyone and they're having a meeting and they have a glass of wine, that's okay.
Keep it to a minimum.
Yes.
Right? And the reason is because a clouded mind, tired, you're not all there, right? And so you want to get rid of, just like eating a bunch of junk isn't good either, right? You want nutritious, healthy food. You want to make sure everyone's getting enough water. And sometimes, when you're at an event, if you're used to drinking a lot of water, maybe you don't, right? You still need to keep that up. You still need to keep the hydration up. And that's an experience for the event team as well, because that's a reflection of the event, right? And so you want people dressed a certain way, you want them looking a certain way, you want them addressing everyone a certain way, you want them eating, and you want to have gum and mints and brushing, like all the hygiene stuff, because that plays a role in it too. And you're not singling anyone out. Not too much perfume or cologne. Keep it very neutral.
Yes.
And that's where that is still part of the experience, because the staff is part of that, right? And you don't want the experience to be there and then the staff is turning people off or isn't on the same page or everyone's not contributing to the experience.
Just like you want the right room layout. You don't want it to be all bogged down and nobody can get to the right side because you don't have aisles. You want it to be spread out evenly. You want to be able to go through the center. You want to be able to go through another aisle. You want to be able to scoot through the tables to get to your seat.
And that really comes in way before the actual event. That comes in when you're looking for venues and you're letting them know your requirements and getting clear on what you need. You need the space that you need so that people can be spread out. It's not like you're all stuck in a, like sardines in a jar kind of thing. You want to have space because if people feel like they're too crammed, that's not a good experience, right? Or they're constantly bumping into things because the tables are too close, or there's not enough room to walk around and mingle, or there's not enough room for what you want to have at the back of the room, or the side, or the front. So think about that. All comes way before the actual event to make sure that you're getting what you actually need.
Make sure you have enough space.
Yeah.
And also start on time. Have your breaks on time. If you're going to start a break, if it's going to be 15 minutes, start no matter what. If a lot of people aren't in the room, maybe do some Q&A so they don't miss too much. But let them know that we're starting on time. Please get back on time. You have,
and that's one of the things you said from the beginning. It's like, guys, we respect your time and we respect ours as well.
Get you out of here at a good time.
And so when we say we're having a 10-minute break or a 15-minute break, that's what it's going to be. And so we will start promptly back at time. When we say we're going to start the day at a certain time or go to lunch and come back at a certain time, that's all true too. So if you're not back, we're not waiting for you. We're going to continue on because that shows a level of respect for them and you as well, right? There's nothing worse than saying something is going to start at a certain time and then the majority of people are there, but then you're not honoring them or you by starting late, right? Or not. Now, I understand things happen, and if something happens, then you can address that. But let that be the exception, not the rule, right, to how things are happening. And then people will be more understanding, well, we've started on time every single time here. Oh, there's an accident, and people aren't able to get back. Okay, so we're going to give a little time, right? But again, doing a Q&A or doing something so that you are continuing to move forward at that time. And that's also why it's very important to have those types of things ahead of time already laid out and addressed. Like, hey, if this comes up, this is what we're going to do. If this comes up, we've got this over here that we can do for filler, or we can have this activity happen, or we can
for sure.
So you want to have some of those things already thought out, because if stuff like that arises, then you just move through it. But again, you're still creating a good experience because the stuff's already planned out. It's not just flying by the seat of your pants.
And that helps with speakers and presentations because that's going to help you stay on time. They're going to know how much time they have. You might have a clock for them, but you must keep your speakers on time. You must start on time. The presentations have to be rehearsed. No 1,000 slides.
If they have a time slot, they need to know
Stick to it.
that they have to get on and off
Because that's
during
going to
that
help
time.
you stay on time.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that's going to throw you off.
And
for
you
sure.
can have things in their contracts too, saying if they go over a certain amount of time, they don't get paid X amount of dollars, right?
Yeah,
Or if it's a
you have to do that
sales-based thing,
sometimes.
they don't get their sales or their commissions completely. You gotta make it so that, because speakers like to speak, right? That's what they do. They speak. They're
Yeah.
speakers. So they could speak all day, but it's like, hey, you know, we've got more things going on. You're not the, so this is your time slot. You need to make sure that you have your presentation ready for this time slot, right?
Right.
So that's all. And then, you know, if you do have challenging speakers, then maybe you don't invite them back, right? Because you know that they're not respecting the
Your
time slot that you've
right.
given them. And then that is a whole thing for your event. So that's other things to think of down the road, but that all does contribute to your experience to make sure that you're able to start and continue on
About
time.
food and beverage.
Food and beverage is very integral to the experience as well, because you know, you want to make sure that the food that you're serving or the drinks that you're having are in line with the event that you're having as well, and the people that are going to be out there.
Are you going to have coffee?
Are you going to have little breaks, or there are those? Are you going to have snack breaks? Are you having a planned lunch? Are you doing a dinner or a cocktail
Yes.
hour, or
Yes.
is it an evening event?
Or
And
is it a working lunch
Yep.
where you just go out and grab your box or whatever you're going to get, or they're going to serve it to you
right.
and sit down?
So those are all things you want to think of, because that contributes to the experience. You know, if someone is hungry because they haven't had enough time to go get food, or they haven't had a break or a snack, that contributes to the experience. So if you're constantly
Be
keeping
cranky.
them happy, right? You're giving them time to have a break, or you're giving them food. Not saying that you need to offer food and beverage at every type
No.
of event either,
Nope.
and offering
Water.
ample time for them to be able to do that. Unless you work in, you know, that into your contract where you have food and beverage that you're working on that, and we can
At
have
certain times.
we'll cover that on another episode
Yes.
where, you know, kind of how you work that so that you're paying more towards that instead of other things. So
How about breaks?
breaks are important, but you want to make sure that
Spread out.
but they're also specific. Like, what is this break for? Is it in between? Do we have like one lesson that was taught, now you're breaking before something else happens? Is it a long
Or-
thing
or
that you're
you
breaking it up?
always 2.5 hours.
Right.
2.5 hours and you're
So you want to
Done.
have your breaks, but you don't
Yes.
need breaks every 30 minutes either, right?
No.
So you want to have a good break in between. Like if you're
Yeah,
going
no
all
more
day,
than an hour and a half.
morning break and an afternoon break, you're good, because then you have a
even
lunch
more.
break.
Yeah.
So, and if people need to
At
run
least
to the
2
bathroom,
hours,
they'll
every
be
2
able to do
hours.
that. But
Yes.
also they'll know, okay, this is the kind of the trajectory that we're going, so they can
Yes.
drink
and
wisely.
only a 15-minute break.
Yep.
Don't give them
In and
30
out.
minutes.
And that's why it's so
It'll slow
important
down your event so
that
much.
you choose the right venue, so there's ample bathrooms and
Mm-hmm.
they're nearby, so people can go do their business and come back, and it doesn't take forever to do that. And there's enough of them, people can get in and out.
Right.
So that's important. And then how you wrap up or close your event
Matters also.
is the lasting, experience that you're giving. So you normally want to end that on some sort of a high. There's been some events that we've gone to that's like, oh, that was it. That was the end of the event. Well then, alrighty. Okay. Well, that was interesting. So you want to think about that when you're what are you ending on? How are you ending on that crescendo or that high?
Right.
So when they leave, that's the lasting impression, the final experience that they're getting, and it's a good one. So think about how you're going to end your event so that they have that. And then also you have your post-event follow up as well. So that is like the final, right? So maybe you send them an email, or you send them a text, or you send them whatever you said at the end that you were going to give them. But that's the final experience that they're getting on all of that as well. So you wanna end that, but definitely how you end the event on a high
Right.
is important, but also the final that you give them at the end of the post-event type of follow-up. And maybe you've said, hey, we're gonna get you these things, that's what you get them. Or, this is the final email, you ask for, how was their experience? Or there's all kinds of different things that you can do in your post-event follow-up, whether that's text
Just
or
stay in
email or a
contact.
phone call.
Just stay in contact.
Yeah, that's the main thing. So, anything else to
That's
discuss?
it.
Alrighty. So, again, remember that your event is an experience. Everything that you do generates towards that overall experience from before,
As a
during,
whole.
and after. And so you want to be thinking about what you're going to be doing for that, how that's going to work
Right.
when you're putting on your event, and then making sure that everything along the way flows into that overall experience that you're wanting. And that's going to
Flows
make
in.
sure, it's got to flow. It's It's going to make sure that you have the overall event experience that you're wanting. And then always do an after action review and see, okay, how close were we to delivering that experience? What could we do differently next time? How could we better and more improve? Because there's always things that you can do, always ways that you can enhance and make it better.
Yes.
Alrighty, guys. So thank you so much for listening today. And remember, take some of this information and put it into use, right?
Yes,
Listening is
right
only
away.
so much. We got to put these things into action. And remember,
Action steps, for sure.
And it only takes an instant to make an impact. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.